TNA fans, welcome. Those of you who love watching TNA wrestling, this is the source for the TNA wrap-up show as we wrap up each episode on Poptv. This is for the episode from June 28, 2016. As we have a great show for you tonight, came on. We're seeing a couple things happen in tonight's show. We see Bobby Lashley defend his TNA World title in a triple threat match between himself, Drew Galloway, and EC3. Also, we have TNA Knockouts champion Sienna in her defense of her title against Gail Kim, which should be a good matchup. A lot of other things interesting coming on, so let's just get right into the show. First up, we see the Miracle Mike Bennett along with his wife, the beautiful Maria, in the ring. They're discussing Mike Bennett winning the X Division title. Going to use that as option C for a world title shot. We see Maria talking about what happened about Dixie being sent home and William Corgan being a fair leader. Mike talks about him winning the title and stuff. They show how he won the title, and you know, he says that he talks about a little bit about Bobby Lashley, which prompts Bobby Lashley to come out. Bobby Lashley isn't too happy, and Mike tells him that he's going to cash in that X Division Championship for a world title shot at Destination X, which prompts EC3 to come out. EC3 is talking back and forth to Mike Bennett, and he's telling him about how he's kissing up the Rockstar Spud, and you know, he's kissing up to a rock star, and how, you know, he's been cheating and on how he's been doing, and this ends up prompting William Corgan to come out, and he, you know, he says that he's upset that EC3 has brought him up, and he talks about, and EC3 tells him that he thinks the X Division title should be defended, and Billy Corgan thinks, and he agrees with EC3. So he tells him that there's going to be, he's going to defend the X Division title tonight in a matchup against the winner of an X Division Battle Royal. So it looks to be a good matchup. As we see, EC3 gets attacked behind. Lashley and Mike Bennett double team EC3. This enables Drew Galloway to come out to make the save. Drew Galloway inadvertently kicks the Claymore and hits EC3 instead of Bobby Lashley. And then this prompts them to go into, as we see in the back locker room. They both, EC3 and Drew, were talking about what had just happened and how Drew said it was an accident. They both got in each other's faces, which prompted them to be separated by other wrestlers. So we see the first matchup of the night is for the Knockouts Championship. We see Sienna coming down to the ring with Allie. Allie congratulates Gail Kim on her induction to the Hall of Fame. Tells her she's been in wrestling a long time and she needs to retire. This makes Gail Kim upset. They end up having a good matchup. Sienna, of course, dominates with her power moves. Gail hits the blockbuster, and then Allie immediately jumps onto the ring. Jade comes out, pulls her off, and goes to hit Allie with a pile driver. We see Marty Bell come out and hit Jade from behind. And then after that, we see Allie distract Gail Kim, which allows Sienna to hit a new move called the Silencer on her to win the match. So ends up Sienna retains her Knockouts title via interference with Allie. In the back, we see Broken Matt coming to the arena. He's in a wheelchair. He's pushed by Allie while he's holding his son. And someone asked him about Matt, and he said he's broken, and he's not done with Brother Nero. And we should probably see them two in the ring to come. Next up, this time we see Drew running into the Miracle Mike Bennett, and he goes back and forth with him. He says, hey, EC3's the real problem. And Drew tells him, you know, not to underestimate the X Division guys, and you can't, because, you know, they're pretty talented guys. Up next, we have a Fact of Life segment. This was a funny segment. It had Eli Drake and his host, James Storm. James Storm comes down, and Eli basically tells him about all of the accolades, such as him being a TNA original And he said, you know, now that you've had all these titles and stuff, and I know you've been watching. He said, are you jealous of me? And James Storm prompts him to call him Eli Dork. And when Eli Dork presses his dummy yeah button, they think it's funny. It's a real funny comment. Eli Drake was talking about, at one point, talking about mashed potatoes and his family and all. It was just a little funny segment they had. James Storm gets tired of hearing him push that dummy button. He says, look, let's just go ahead and have a drinking game. You know, every time he pushed the button, we'll drink. And he has 2 beers up there. But Eli Drake takes a big jug of water. The crowd starts booing him. And he starts talking more smack to James Storm. James Storm says, look, let's change that. Every time you push that button, I get to slap you. And this prompts him to hit the button. But then he says, no, you can leave. I don't want to be slapped. I don't want to slap the button. We'll go. And then he presses the dummy button as James Storm goes to leave. James Storm hits the last call super kick on him, lays him out, and told him, hey, our paths are going to cross sooner or later. And we do. I'm going to whip your butt. So we see that happen. Now I look forward to seeing that. We see these TMZ guys interviewing Jeff and asking if he saw Matt. And Jeff said that they're going to meet face to face to find out a solution to what's going on with Matt. And then they showed his fake infomercial for the Fixer. You know, that shows up in the back. Rosemary, she's talking to Bram, still trying to get him to join the Decay. It's kind of a weird segment, you know, a lot of weird stuff going on, so we'll see where that leads to. Up next, we see Broken Matt. He comes to the ring with that new piano music that he's playing. You know, Rebby pushes him down the wheelchair. He's dramatic, and he's just, this is just Broken Matt himself. He starts talking about Jeff Hardy's creatures and stuff and running them down and blames them for following Brother Nero. And, you know, he said he's had a lot of bad memories in the Impact Zone and that he's not the only one. And he calls out Jeff. And he says that he wonders, Josh then wonders if Jeff's going to come to the ring as they go to the commercial. So when we come back from commercial, we see that Jeff makes his way down, and Matt says he needs one more match and he needs to win. And he said he wants 6 weeks to recuperate from his life-threatening injuries. And Matt says that whoever wins this match will own the name Hardy. So, you know, Matt asks Jeff if he agrees to the stipulation. Jeff starts a yes chant, and the crowd, like Daniel Bryan, and they all start chanting yes. So I guess he's going to use one of them's going to drop the name Hardy. So, you know, one of them will be known by, you know, I guess without the Hardy name. Then we see Matt jump out of the wheelchair. He attacks Jeff from behind, and he gives Jeff the twist of fate with Jeff's head wedged in a chair. So, and Matt ends up saying that the match will take place next week, but not in the Impact Zone. But the final match will take place where everything started, which is at their home. So remember, when they signed the contract, it was in the home. So I guess we're going to see another matchup at their home in the ring. So Matt calls it the final deletion. So this is apparently the title of the match, the final deletion at their hometown in Cameron, North Carolina. So this is where the matchup's going to be at. Up next, we have a X Division Battle Royal. We've seen the same basic contestants in this matchup. Eddie Edwards, DJ Z, Andrew Everett, Trevor Lee, Rockstar Spud. We see Braxton Sutter and Andrews in this matchup. So, you know, it's weird to see. The final 4 will end up being after the match, you know, because each guy had a good time shining. Wasn't that bad. You know, Miracle doesn't think anyone can beat him. You know, he's always bragging about that. And he's there ringside. You know, you don't think none of them can beat him. Bragging about it a little bit. And then we come down to the final 4 of them where Braxton, Edwards, Lee, and Everett. You know, Eddie Edwards and Everett end up on the apron. The Miracle, he left commentary, interrupted the match. And straight to Eddie, which allowed him to be eliminated. And then the Helms Dynasty doubled up Sutter until Sutter suddenly he eliminated both of them. So we see that Sutter is the one that wins the X Division Battle Royal. He is the one that's going to challenge. We see for the X Division title. And as soon as the match gets over with, he's worn out. Miracle said, we're going to have the match. We're going to have it right now. And so he ends up taking his time to take his jacket off. Sutter tries to roll him up for a near pinfall, but Miracle finally hits the MIP, and he ends up retaining the title. So not much of a matchup, kind of like a cash in Money in the Bank kind of style the way it looks. So see that happening. In the back we see Shera. He's with Grotto, and Shera said he's worried about facing Al Snow in the tribunal, and he said it was 3 against 2. And Grotto says that he'll have a third man. And he talks about the reference to Bash at the Beach in '96, kind of back when Hogan, came out as the third person with the NWO, but Shera didn't quite get it. And we see in the back, Sutter's back there, and he's talking about his loss, and he said he realized he's swimming with the sharks, and he's going to show everybody that he's also a shark as well. All right, so we see that Grotto and Shera introduced their partner, and which is none other than Tyrus. Tyrus, I guess, is a babyface now, maybe. He throws the tribunal around, and he stalks around Al Snow, because Al Snow is going to be very, very aggravating to begin with. They start beating on Grotto, and they get him in the corner, and he's the one that's going to take the beat down for the matchup. We see, of course, you didn't see that one coming. And Tyrus gets the hot tag, and then he just goes off on all of them. He ends up getting in the pin as well. And, I guess his new gimmick, they're talking about him being a problem solver. And I guess you can solve him to fix your problems or solve your problems. So maybe that's what he's doing now. Maybe that's exactly what he's in for now. In the back, we see Shera celebrating. They were eating. He said he was hungry, but he wouldn't be paying for Grotto. And then we cut to the back again, and the Miracle said his matchup with Braxton was the most difficult of his life, which that's being sarcastic. And we see that he said he's promising that he will cash in the X Division title match next week. So we'll see. Up last but not least is the world title match. Triple threat match between Bobby Lashley, the champion, as against Drew Galloway against EC3. And this was a good main event. We saw both EC3 and Drew, showing like they were going to fight each other, but instead they went after Lashley. Then we see Drew and EC3 take turns stomping him in the corner, beating him down. They try to outdo each other with their moves again on Lashley. And then they start arguing, which is going to take what was happened, which when that happens, it allowed Lashley to get the advantage on EC3, and then Drew just sits back and watches, and then Drew and EC3 dive on Lashley onto the outside. That was going to happen, and then we see, since he's on the outside, this leaves EC3 and Drew the fight back and forth in the middle of the ring. You see that Drew ends up chopping EC3 so hard that his chest busts open, and then ends up Drew hits the Future Shock DDT, but Lashley breaks up the pinfall. EC3 sets up the 1%er, but Drew ends up hitting the Claymore on EC3, and Lashley ends up hitting Drew with the spear, which on EC3, Drew with the spear he ends up hitting EC3 with the spear and retains his title 1, 2, 3. So we see that was a pretty decent matchup, and we look forward to next week where we see Broken Matt and Jeff have their final battle at their home in Cameron, North Carolina, and called the Final Deletion. We'll see which one gets that brand name and which one gets to use the last name, which one will no longer have that last name. So it should be the final resting place of their feud. It's been a while, which has been a good long feud, which is what they need to have. And, we'll see. But, I just hope everybody enjoys it. I try to give as detailed as I can go into it. I hope you like my, descriptions. They're not very long, but I get to the point on what happens so that I will keep you, the fans that love TNA, that watch TNA, up on what's going on. And like I said, I look forward to making the next video. So when you see this video, like it, share it with other people, subscribe to my channel for for more content, and I'll do my very best that I can to put them on. So I hope everyone takes care. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, until next time, this is Bill Mack with TNA Impact Wrestling Wrap Up. See you next time.